Hey everybody, this is Tony Europe from Class Eagles. I hope you're having a great day. When players are training on their own and they're working with the ball, first and foremost, that's a fantastic thing. It's something we always want to encourage the kids to do. I love hearing and seeing, hearing about and seeing kids, trying to do things at home on their own and work on areas of the game that they need to improve on, and it's fantastic. And we want as coaches, we want all our players to be committed to spending that extra time that's required to make those improvements in their game. As they are doing that, though, it's important that they are spending a lot of their time working on the parts of the game that are most important to their success on the field. Again, we are not training as players to be, what I would call YouTubers or, techers or things like that. We're training to be very good at the game. I think what sometimes happens is when players are looking online, they see a lot of cool tricks and things like that players do. They see some of their idols and things like that doing different tricks with the ball, and they see that and they want to do it too, and they try to do it at home, and that's what they spend a lot of their time doing, which again is great from a creativity standpoint. It shows all the cool things you can do with the ball, but the most impressive thing about high level players aren't the tricks that they can do with the ball, and the different juggling lifts and things like that. It's the very simple things in the game that they can do at a speed and a level and consistency that is beyond where most players are at. And that's where the difference is. So when you watch Messi, play, to use an obvious example, or even Cristiano Ronaldo, or Tobin Heath, Alex Morgan, some of the cool tricks and things like that you can see them do, and they do with the ball quite a bit, on videos and on YouTube and things like that, or on highlight clips. We tend to catch those moments only. But for me, some of the most impressive things and what separates those players, not just their tactical understanding of the game, which is really exceedingly high, but how well they do the simple things. So, what I try to do is I try to get players to watch clips of, someone like Messi, sprinting at top speed with the ball looking like it's glued to his foot. That is something that separates high level players from players who are not at that level. That ability to do something as, what would be considered as basic skill, being able to dribble, run with the ball at such a high level. But how often do you see players really working on how quick and how well they can just run with the ball? A lot of times you see it, a lot of other things, and quarter footwork, type small stuff, which again is good, and helpful. But what do you do in the game all the time? What is the difference maker in players? A lot of times it's those simple moments that go unnoticed, that we don't pay attention to, that it's not as much fun for players to work on at home on their own, because it's more fun to do the tricks and the cool moves, which I get. But when you look at these high level players, what makes them high level is not the tricks and things like that. They can do those because of the control they have. But now I feel like you're getting a generation of players that can do a lot of fancy tricks, but they're not nearly as good at the fundamental things as they'll need to be to continue to move up levels of play. They can do around the world and different things like that, and different juggling, and kind of like different skill moves and isolation. But in terms of doing these things, the simple, what I would call the 90% of things that you constantly do in the game, it's not at a high enough and clean enough and consistent level. They can't do it at a speed that is required to play at the highest levels of the game. And that's what I feel like is missed, but needs to be noticed most about really good players in this game, is how well they do those simple things. Where their first touch is when that ball comes to them, on a driven ball out of the air, it's on the floor. It's exactly where it needs to be to set up their next movement. How quick they can run with the ball and keep it under control at top speed. Little things like that. To be able to pass on a sprint, be able to receive on a sprint, finish while somebody's pulling you down and off balance, and again, exhausted and tired, and possibly on a sprint. Those are the skills that's what is the game requires of you to do to have a lot of success. And that's the difference. You look at somebody like a Messi, and how his ability to run with the ball and keep it at his feet and change direction on a dime. And if you watch him, there's nothing complicated in what he's doing. There's no fancy tricks in between him, but he can just wait, touch, and direct that ball on the run, which looks effortlessly, but is incredibly difficult. Again, I think if you take most players, even ones that consider themselves higher level players, you cannot sprint at that speed, change direction, start, stop, go, and keep the ball under that much control while maybe keeping your head up and being focused on what's going on around you. So when you are training at home as a player, definitely have fun with the ball and work on those things that, keep it exciting and creative and stuff like that. But if you're very serious about being better when you play the game, you gotta spend time, lots of time, doing the things that you repeatedly do in the game, not just for a clip that you're going to put on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. Which again, do it. It's cool. It's great. But what are you doing, and what are you training, and what are you practicing on a consistent basis that relates exactly to within your position, your age, your level, you do on the field all the time. So when you set up your training, you're doing stuff at home, think about, what do I constantly do on the field? And that is what I need to focus on getting better at. What do my coaches constantly ask me to be better at? That's what I should be focusing on as well. Spend a lot of your time there. You can do the other things and sprinkle it in and keep it fun, but spend time. If you're gonna invest the time, the energy, the sweat, the pain, the frustration, and just kind of training on your own at times, direct it towards the areas that are going to help you the most and have success when you step back on the field.